Alright guys, welcome back to this training. In this particular video, I'm going to be teaching you guys on the basics of Elementor. Right, so I'll be teaching you guys on the basics of Elementor. Elementor is one of the most popular page builder that we use in a web design project. Right, so the first thing I want you to do is to go into your plugins. Go into your dashboard. Then on your plugins, then click on add new plugin. Alright, then make sure, then click on search for Elementor, that is the Elementor plugin, and install it on your plugin. Then when you are done installing Elementor, make sure you activate it. Right, so that is this plugin that I have here, that is the Elementor. Alright, or if you are downloading it from the resources I gave to you, then all you have to do is to click on upload, that is add new plugin, then click on upload and upload the free version of the Elementor that I gave to you. Alright, then when you are done with that, then go to pages, then click on edit home. Right click on it, open a new tab, okay, then click on edit with Elementor. Alright, now it has loaded up. Alright, so what I want to be teaching you guys on the three basics of Elementor, right, which are the sessions, the rules, and the elements. These are the main three components that makes up the Elementor page builder that you ought to know as a web designer. Alright, so what do I mean by session? Session is just like the entire session. It's just like a full session that contains the column and also contains the elements that are found inside the column. So that is what this session means. I know it might be kind of confusing as a beginner, but trust me, Elementor is one of the simplest page builder that you can ever find, that you can ever make use of. Okay, so this immediately you are able to understand these three basics, which is the session, the column, and the elements. Alright, so session is just like, let me just make use of this sentence. Let me say a building. It's just like the entire building, right? Why the rules? The rules are just like the rooms, that is inside the full building. Why the elements are like the properties, the materials, those properties that you have inside each of those rooms, inside your sitting room, inside your bedroom, just like that. So those are the elements, and they could be either be the text, the images, the buttons, and all that you have on your web pages, and all of these are accommodated inside these columns. They are all under one particular house, which is the session. So that is how this session, column, and element works. Right, so let me give you an example. You see this place that say drag widget there, this plus sign. Alright, in some Elementor you might be seeing it as container, while in some you might be seeing it as session. Don't be confused, they all mean the same thing. Okay, so this plus sign, if I click on it, you see all these that I'm seeing are different sessions with different columns on it. Like this first one, this is a single session with one column on it. Okay, and this other one is one session with 2 columns on it, right? Same thing with this, and this is one session with 4 different columns on it. So this is how it is. Alright, for instance, I just click on this particular one. Okay, so this one I have just a single session with 1 column. Alright, I have a single session with 1 column on it. So what do I mean? For instance, I want to add an element to this session, to this column, right? So this entire as you can see, this pink color that you are seeing, this pink color that you are seeing, this is the session, this is the full session, this is the full session. Why these dotted lines that you are seeing, these dotted lines, these are the columns, right? It is embedded inside this particular session. Like I said, it's just like a room inside a building, inside a house. So this is how it works. Why the elements are the inputs, the things that you add up inside this columns, inside your rooms. Let me say your furnitures, your beds, things like that, the electronics. Those are the elements that you find inside this your room. Also, that is also the column, right? So this is how it works. For instance, I want to add, let me add an element of a header, right? So all I need to do is just to drag, right? So just drag it and drop it inside this column. Okay, you drop it inside this column, that is this plus sign. You can see the plus sign there, right? So just drag and drop. Okay, then I can decide to centralize it, so that is how all these things works. Okay, then inside this element that I have, this my header, this is an header element. I can also decide to add something else to it. Let me say I want to add a paragraph to it. Alright, so I will just drag a text editor, right? Either you call it a paragraph or a text editor. So I can drag it from here and drop it here also. Okay, so as you can see, I now have a text, a paragraph inside this column. So let me just tell you how it works. In a session, you can have a column inside a session, while inside a column you can have all the elements, right? And for elements, you can drop elements in a vertical mode. What do I mean by a vertical mode? That means one element, after one element you can add another element below it, but you can't do that with a column. All right, so I can decide to be adding as many elements that I want inside this particular column, inside this particular column. So this is how you can add your element. But for instance, I want to add another session side by side with this column that I have. I can't do it. So the only thing that I can do, let me say I want to add another column, right? So the only thing I can do, that means I will add a sub session inside my main session. No, this entire session is a main session. So if I want to add another column, that is side, that will be at the side, right? That means I will add a sub session. Okay, so for instance, I want to add another session with this first one is a session with just one column. All right, with one column and the rows and the elements that are on it. So the elements are all these text that I'm having here. So an element could also be an image. All right, it could also be an image. So I can also decide to add an image to this my elements, right? So just to drag and drop it here. All right, so let me reduce the size of this image. All right, so let me reduce it. Okay, let me reduce the height. So as you can see, all of these things are elements inside one section, inside one column. All right, so this is one section. So all these text that you are seeing, this heading, this paragraph, this image, they all fall under elements. All right, and all of them are inside one column. Okay, so this is how it is. So I can also decide to add a button. Okay, let me say I want to add a button, so I can just drag another button and drop it here or any place. Let me say I want to add a button to this position. All right, so let me centralize it. So this is how you can add your element inside your sections, inside your columns. All right, so the section or the container contains the column, while the column contains all the elements. Right, like I said, you can add your element side in a vertical mode. What do I mean by in a vertical mode? You can add it side by side, right? So this is how you add your element. Okay, so let me say for example I want to select another section with 2 columns. Okay, I want to add another section with 2 columns, so I select this particular one. So as you can see, this is another section with 2 different columns. Okay, this is the column 1, this is column 1, and this is column 2. So under this column, let me say I want to add an image, or let me say a header to this particular column. So let me go back, then let me drag an image, or let me drag a header. I'll drop it here. You see, let me centralize it. Okay, then on this other column, let me add something else. Let me say I want to add a video. That means I want to add a video or an image or anything, right? Or let me say I want to add a progress bar. Okay, let me say I want to add a progress bar. Let me just search for progress bar. Okay, progress. Okay, let me say I want to add a progress bar. I will just drag it and drop. Okay, you see, this is the progress bar. So on this progress bar, I can also decide to add an image. Like I said, you can add as many elements inside a particular column, right? So let me also add something like an image to this column that is containing this my element of progress bar. Okay, so let me add an image to it. Okay, so you can either add it at the top or below it. Okay, let me drop it here. Okay, so let me reduce the size of the image. Okay, so this is it. Then on this other side, let me say I want to add something else to it. Maybe I want to add something else to this other column, this other side. So let me go back. Then let me add okay, let me say I want to add a map. Okay, I can just come here and drop it right here. Okay, I can just drop it right here. All right, so this is a map. Okay, this is a map. So this is how you can edit all of this. Okay, so let me show you one more example. For instance, I have something like this. All right, this is a section that is containing 4 different rows, that is containing 4 different columns. It's just like a full building that is containing 4 different rooms. Let me use it like that. This is room 1, this is room 2, this is room 3, this is room 4. Okay, that is how, or this is how you can add your columns. Okay, Okay, for instance, I want to, let me say, I can make this columns. This is 1 2. Then I can decide to duplicate this column, right? So just right click on it, click on duplicate. Okay, you see it's coming in a vertical mode. Okay, this is coming in a vertical mode, so that means I have three columns on this side, while on this other side I'm having 2 columns. Okay, so you can decide to have a design of this nature. Okay, let me say, for instance, I want to add let me say a subsection. Let me delete this other one. Let me delete this one. Let me say I want to add another section inside this section. Okay, so how do I achieve that? So what I will do, I will just drag from this layout. You can see from this side, you can see a layout here. Just drag, or you can just search for subsection. All right, then let me just drag and drop it here. Okay, so this particular session, I now have a session, a subsection inside the main session. All right, I don't know if you understand. So so what I want to do, I want to duplicate this particular session also. So let me duplicate it. All right, so as you can see, this is a session inside as another session. So this is how you can go on and add all of these stuffs. Okay, so let me delete one of these session. So I just want to break these things down for you guys, so that you understand how to add your session, your rows and column. All right, so basically this is how you can go on and add anything to your session. So the major thing that you have to understand is the session and the column and the element. The session is just like the building that contains the column, and the column is just like a room inside the main session, inside the main building, while the elements are those components that you add. The component could be a text, it could be an image, it could be a video, it could be a button, just like that. Like all these things that you are seeing here, all these things are different elements that you can use, right? So these are different elements that you can find in your Elementor, right? So as we go on, by the time we start designing this particular website, and we start applying all of this, then you will by then you have a clearer understanding of how to make use of all of these session, rules and column, because that is what Elementor entails. All right, so that is all for now. In the next class, I'll be explaining to you guys on how you can edit your session, your column and the elements of your Elementor page builder. Okay, for instance, I want to edit this particular header. This all I have to do is to click on it, click on edit header. So in the next session, I'll be explaining to you guys on this content, style and the advanced, on how to make use of it, because this is how these are the things that you'll be needing while designing your website using the Elementor page builder. All right, for instance, I want to edit this text, so all I need to do is just to add my text. All right, all I need to do is to add my text. So I can just decide to write anything. I can just say, this is my design. Okay, those stuff like that, something like that. This is my design. All right, then I can change the head tag. I can leave it, I can make use of H1. Okay, I can decide to style it. I can increase the size. Okay, I can increase the size. I can make it, I can increase the size from here, right? Then I can decide to style it. I can decide to make it a link, right? By the time someone clicks on this text, it will become a link to that will direct the person to another page. Then I can go to my style. Then I can change the color, that is the text color, to something else, right? I can change it to a different color. Okay, then I can go into my typography. I can increase the size. I can increase the size of this text. Okay, I can increase the width. I can make it to be bold. All right, I can change the font. I can decide to change the font. I can use another font for my design. I can change the font. So this just like that. So in our next class, I'll be teaching you guys on how to apply all of this content, the style, and the advance before in the subsequent class, before we start designing our personal website using the Elementor page builder. Alright, thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next class. Bye bye. Alright, welcome back guys one more time. On the previous video, we were able to explain the difference between the section, the columns, and the row of the Elementor page builder. So in this particular videos, I'm going to be teaching you guys on how to customize your website using the Elementor page builder, and the different rules of each of these section, columns, and the elements, right? So that is what we'll be doing in this particular video. So what I will be doing, I will be deleting all of this, right? So I'll be deleting all of this. So I want to have a fresh page for that. Okay, so for instance, I want to add a session, right? Then I will just click on this button. Then I will just select a single session. Okay, so let me add an image. So first of all, what I want you to understand, when the session, the main function of the session, we normally use session for height control. We normally use it for height control, and then normally for height control and for our background, in case we want to add a background. So these are some of the things we normally use session for, mostly for height control and the width control also, right? So these are some of the things we use the session. Same also with the column. We normally use a column for width control, rather, right? We use a column for width control, and also to manage our elements, the content we have on the content we have, right? Like I said, the content are like the text, the images, and the pictures. So the function of this of the column is to manage these elements together, right? So we can use the columns to manage the width. We use it for width control, right? So that is just it. So let me add an image to this particular session. All right, so in order to add an image, so let me edit, then go to, all right, so this is the session. I'm now on this session. Okay, let me go back, edit session. All right, so let me increase the height. So normally use a session for height control, right? Let me increase the height. Okay, let me first of all add my image. Okay, then go to style. If you want to add an image to your session, go to style, then go to background, select a classic. Okay, select classic, then choose image. Okay, choose image. All right, let me make use of this particular image, then select. Okay, select, then go back to layout, then let me select the height. Okay, let me select the height, let me leave it at 600. Okay, let me leave it at 600. You can type it from here. Let me leave it at 600. Okay, let me leave it like this. Then the width, then I can just select width content, leave it at full width. Okay, leave it at full width, that is 100%. Okay, that is 100%. So this is the full width. Then one more thing I want to do, then I can decide to add an overlay. To this my image. Okay, then I go to my style, then go to style. On this background overlay, click on it, click on background overlay, then select classic. Okay, classic, then choose the color that you want to use. Let me say I want to make it black. Okay, that is it. Then I can increase the opacity. All right, can increase the opacity. Okay, that is it. Can increase the opacity. Then let me go back, then go to backgrounds. So what I want to, no, let me leave it for now. Go to background. So let me in case I want to add a text to this my image, right? So go back to the Elementor. Let me add a text header, then drag and drop. Okay, so this is my text. So I want to change, let me centralize it. Okay, so then let me go back to my style. All right, so I want to bring this particular text to center. I want to centralize it. Okay, then I can change the text color. Let me change the text color to white so that it will be more visible. Okay, let me change it to white. Color. Okay, then go to typography, then the height, typography. Okay, then I can increase the size. Okay, then I can go to then can change the font, to whatever font that you want to make use of. Okay, line height, letter spacing, in case you want to adjust the space between each of these word. Okay, that is what we mean by letter spacing. Okay, then one more thing, in case I want to make this text to be at the center. Okay, so that is where this advance comes in. Okay, so under this advance we have this margin and we have the padding. So what is margin? Margin is the spacing outside the element, right? Margin is the space that is outside the element, right? This is the element, so the space outside this element, that is what we refer to as the margin. Then for the padding, why padding is space inside the element. Okay, so in space inside the element is the space, this space between this pink color that you are seeing and this element, this text, that is the padding, right? While the space outside the element is the space between this element and the surrounding. That is what we mean by the margin. Okay, so for instance, I want to make this particular text to be at the center. Okay, so what do I have to do? I'll go to margin. So first of all, I'll unlink all these things together, all these values together, right? So that I can decide to apply the margin differently. Okay, then I will just unlink all of them together. Then I want to apply the margin. Then I go to margin bottom. Okay, margin bottom. All right, then I can bring it down. This is the margin bottom. Can bring it down. Okay, let me leave it at this position. Okay, let me leave it at this position. Then let me reduce the size of this image. Okay, let me reduce the size of this image. Let me reduce it. It's like it's too. Okay, I think it's okay like this. Let me reduce the size. Okay, it's okay like this. So this is how you can, especially always take note of this margin and padding, because it could be kind of confusing, especially when you are starting as a beginner. But by the time you start making use of it, because padding and margin is kind of very important as a web designer, that you get yourself acquainted with it, because this is something that time to time you'll be making use of, right? Especially when it comes to your text, when you are trying to write tests for on your pages, right? Because you'll be applying this margin and the padding, right? Like I said, margin is the space outside the elements, the space outside the element. Okay, while padding is the space inside the element. Okay, for instance, this is the element. As you can see, this pink color that is inside, right? You can see all these space are within this element, right? For instance, I want to pad this text. I want to pad this text. Like I said, padding is the space within the element, and the element that I'm talking about here is this text that I have here. This add your heading text here. This is the text that I'm having here. Okay, for instance, I want to pad this particular text within the element. Okay, then I go to padding. Let me say I want to pad this element to the left. Okay, first of all, I will unlink this value. I will unlink it. Let me pad it to the left. Okay, for instance, I want to pad this to the left. Okay, you see the direction that the element is going. So this is how you pad, either to the left or to the right. Okay, then in case I want to pad it to the right, so all I have to do is to come back and take it. So all I have to do is to come back and take it. You can either control it from, let me say I want to pad it, I can just select a number. Let me say 200, you know, and let me just say 200. Let me say 200. Let me say 200. Okay, let me say 200. So let me just bring it, let me bring it closer. Alright, so this is how you can work between your margin and your padding. Alright, so you can, like I said, margin is the space outside the element, while padding is the space inside the element. Okay, just get it. Margin is the space outside the element, while the padding is the space inside the element. Alright, so that is it for all of how to make use of all this that is how to work around your page builder, your Elementor page builder. Okay, so by the time we start designing this particular website, by the time we start applying all of this effect, it will be more clearer to you. Alright, so that is it. In the next class, we are going to start by designing this particular website, this personal website, right? Because the reason why we choose a personal website for our website, because you are more familiar, you are more used to yourself, right? So we'll be starting by designing this personal website, and we'll be incorporating all of these features, like this WhatsApp button, this pop-up button, right, in case someone wants to contact you. So all of this, will be achieving all of this with the use of page builder. And also in case you want to add a live chat to your website, so we'll be achieving all of this with the use of this page builder. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned till the next class.